Jesus came to a village called Bethany, and a woman named Martha welcomed him into her house. She had a sister called Mary, who sat down at the Lord's feet and listened to him speaking. Martha was distracted with all the serving, and she said to Jesus, "Lord, do you not care that my sister is leaving me to do all the serving by myself? Tell her to help me." Jesus answered, "Martha, Martha, you worry and you fret about so many things, and few are needed. Indeed, only one. It is Mary who has chosen the better part. It is not to be taken from her." Ko te rongo pai a te ariki. This is a very old chestnut of a gospel, and I know you all have your ideas. Those who provide hospitality and the cooks are nodding already, and those who are even more prayerful than I am are feeling sorry for the Marthas here today. It would be very easy, would it not, to summarise the gospel by saying, well, Martha is a fusspot, and we know that, and Mary is a deeply contemplative and prayerful woman. But in both cases, I think, these labels misunderstand these two sisters, and they limit the wisdoms in our own faith journey and in their faith journey. So let me explain. There's a wonderful biographical movie on at the moment about the acclaimed New Zealand writer Dame Fiona Kidman. It's called The House Within. It's a very short documentary, just about an hour and a quarter. I watched it on Friday at Shoreline Cinema with a couple of friends in Waikanae, and I thought in so many ways it's a great summary of the deeper meanings of today's gospel. Fiona Kidman says many wise and beautiful things, but two phrases that struck me were when she said, "In order to write, we need to go within." She encouraged us all to go beneath the surface of things and to listen to the silences beneath the conversation. Our world, she says, is very noisy at the moment, here and further afield as we know. But what happens when we are still? And what happens when we listen to the silences? Superficially, Martha can appear to be a bustling fusspot, and superficially, Mary, a deeply prayerful sister. But when we stay on the surface of the gospel, this story or any story, be it personal or communal or even wider, we can put a label on both Martha and Mary and on other stories that limits possibilities for these two sisters, for ourselves, for our communities of faith. A person or a community that wears one of our labels can never ever please us because we have closed our minds and our hearts to their innate goodness. When we go deeper, we discover more of a story. And one pathway, I think, to going deeper is gratitude. By building a culture of gratitude, we do go deeper into a story. We recognise others and thank them for their hospitality, or their talents, or their generative giftedness. And then we ourselves have gone to a deeper level. More than that, we allow them and ourselves to change. Fiona Kidman said that the deeper she went into her writing, the more she changed and discovered at times that she had been wrong or misinterpreted in the way that she wrote letters. And there's a beautiful example of that in the community at Waipu, where she lived and wrote a story, but I won't spoil that. You'll need to go and see it. At this point, though, I'm going to put today's gospel aside from Luke chapter 10, and I'm going to follow Fiona Kidman's example and look at a different and perhaps deeper perspective. It's a later perspective in the Gospels. It comes from John chapter 11, but it's about the two sisters again, and we see them in another light. Notice the dynamic between the two sisters, Martha and Mary, and Jesus. The context: Lazarus, their brother, is dying, and a message has been sent to Jesus, but he doesn't come to Bethany straight away. He takes his time, and when he gets there eventually, Lazarus has been dead for a few days. Martha and Mary are very brassed off with Jesus, and they let him know. Martha greets Jesus outside their home, but Mary won't come out. She stays inside. Straight away, Martha lets Jesus know what she really thinks. If you had been here, and you weren't, my brother would not have died. And then she gives Jesus an escape clause. But I know that even now, whatever you ask of God will be done. And you see the rejoinder in this great dialogue going backwards and forwards, like the woman of Samaria with Jesus at the well. He quickly responds, "Your brother will rise again." Martha, "I know he will rise again at the resurrection on the last day." So there's a growing awareness in the community of resurrection. In the book of the Maccabees, the last of the Old Testament or Hebrew scriptures, builds on that. Jesus tells her, "I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in that will never die." And then he says, "Do you believe this, Martha?" And so very poignantly she responds, "Yes, Lord, I have come to believe that you are the one who was to come into the world, the Messiah." In other words, Martha is saying, I have come to believe. I have grown in my faith and belief that you are the Christ, the Messiah, the resurrection and life of the world. Jesus doesn't respond, and immediately after her profession of faith, Martha goes back inside the house, and there's a couple of translations. One says she whispers to Mary. Another one says she secretly speaks to Mary. We'd love to know what she really said. I'm sure it'd be something like, "Get up and get out of here and be nice." But what she says is this: "The Master is here and he is asking after you." So Mary comes out of the house and she greets Jesus. And what does she say? Exactly what Martha has said to Jesus, but probably stronger. "If you had been here, my brother would not have died. You weren't here, and that's why he died." So that becomes, as we know, the prelude to the raising of Jesus from the dead. But it also, I think, helps us put today's gospel story into a bigger context. Today is only a snapshot, and it's a snapshot of a very exhausted hospitality provider, Martha, and a contemplative and silent Mary, neither of whom stay put in their relationship with Jesus, like ourselves. Martha and Mary are united in their sorrow and their sadness, but that becomes a prelude to an even deeper awareness of who Jesus is and what he means. And I think, in conclusion, it's the same for us. No matter where we find ourselves today, in our own stories or our community story of faith, hope and love, if we look beneath the surface, as Fiona Kidman encourages us to do, if we look beneath the surface of all these realities in our lives, we can rediscover the presence of Jesus.